So the reality is that nobody really knows. It's probably number 3 question I get, as a random internet guy out here. Even the von Mises people and the losertardians out there, the hardcore so-called, hard money economy kind of guys, the so-called free market kind of guys, right? Even they can't really explain any of this. They can try, and they can espouse a bunch of platitudes to you, and they can espouse a bunch of economic theory, which is really all it comes down to, because they're trying to apply free market principles to this. This is not a free market. It hasn't been for a very long time. So this idea that the system should follow the normal pathology, no, it will not. It will not. This isn't going to probably go away anytime soon, because you have a bunch of fake billionaires like the Orange Man and America's favorite fake billionaire, Monkey Boy. You don't have any of these people don't have a pot to piss in or one to throw it out of. It's the truth. These people are broke. They are hyper broke. They are super duper broke. They're so broke, we call them billionaires now. They are constantly, always and forever, refinancing piles of debt with these bankers to keep the illusion of this currency having some kind of value. The dollar is nothing more than company store credit, right? That's all it is. It's company store credit. It's conjured from nothing. It's printed out of nothing, and then they use that fake currency to buy up all the actual assets in the country, right? So, you had your boomers and World War II gen people selling off the actual assets, like their farms and businesses and so on, to these oligarchs for dollars conjured from nothing. I have gone over this repeatedly, and I don't. Again, I'm not trying to sound pointed to the person asking this question, but it's like my channel has gone over this like dozens of times. That this is and people just have to go find my channel and just scroll through the videos, dude. You won't have to get even 20 to 30 videos in, and you will hear me explain this stuff about why this is happening. And no, it's probably not going to go away anytime soon, because people are still addicted to the idea of company store credit. You're still addicted to the idea of company store credit, which is the US dollar. You have to get out of that. You have to be willing to say, okay, I don't want it anymore. And then you have to be willing to say, okay, listen, you can't bring in a bunch of slave labor from third world shitholes. Okay, no more H-1Bs. You can't bring any more H-1Bs in here to do work for company store credit. We don't want them here. It has nothing to do with race. Has zero to do with race. It has to do with, I don't want your system to continue to survive, because what you've done is you've counterfeited all of this from nothing. And you have destroyed the greater economy for 3 generations now. You've all but completely eradicated Gen X, Millennials, and Zoomers to prop this madness up, because you don't want, the boomers don't want to take the L. Politicians don't want to take the L. All the people who bought all these stupid rental properties don't want to take the L. All these people who pumped all their money into the stock market that is being propped up by something like 7 companies at this point. They don't want to take the L. They don't want to realize that they all got had, that they all got ripped off, that this whole thing was a sham. And it was a sham based on dollars printed from nothing. Counterfeit nonsense, right? There's no actual, real, fundamental economy. There's no foundational economy. Foundational economies start this way, for those that are new, right? There's 5 top things you look at when assessing any civilization. Number 1 is the type of currency. At the top of the stack is the type of currency. Is the currency conjured from nothing, or is it just a bunch of debt? Is there anything mathematical or intrinsic value there? And intrinsic meaning something to do with labor, because that's where gold gets a lot of its intrinsic value. By the way, just so you know, that's really where a lot of it comes from, is by virtue of the price paid, pull it out of the ground. Okay, and its mathematical values because of weights and measures. It either weighs or it doesn't. It's pure or it's not. You have it or you don't. That's it. Then there's orange internet money. We don't say the B word here because of the algorithms, but that's a mathematically viable currency. Okay, it doesn't require a whole bunch of guys out there to go out there and mine a bunch of ore, but you still have to mine it, and it still takes an enormous amount of energy to do so. So number 1 is your currency. Number 2 is your birth rates. How are we doing on our birth rates here in the U.S.? Not well, and probably not going to for quite some time because of the family court system, among other problems. among all the relationship problems we have. Social media has not helped on that, actually. And I think that both sexes would say that. I think that both men and women would both say that, yes, social media has not helped any of that. That's actually made it much worse. Number 3 is small business. That's a big one, right? I mean, in fact, in terms of the overall health of your overall economy, you look at your small businesses. Are your small businesses functioning? Are they working properly? Are they able to own their property on which their businesses sit? That is critical. That's so you don't have landlords constantly messing with the rents. It's important that your small businesses own their property, own their building, own their equipment, and own their entire business, and that the owners, in fact, do work there. It's actually pretty important, okay? So that's your small businesses, right? And your small businesses can pick and choose whether or not to accept your company store vouchers, your US dollars, or demand something else, something that actually has any kind of value to it. Number 4 is your land ownership, which is part of your number three, but it's on the personal level. Do the people own any part of the country that they're being told is theirs? That's it. That's number 4. I mean, like, how many people are getting locked out of owning the country? Now, you're being told that this is your country, but then at the same time, you're locking ownership out of all these young people, right? So they have no real incentive to try and support. Like, they have no incentive to go and scream about property taxes because there aren't enough people by volume. When 6 people show up at the courthouse complaining about property taxes, it falls on deaf ears. When 6,000 people show up at the courthouse to complain about property taxes, armed, hopefully, they tend to listen, and then property taxes tend to go down or go away entirely, actually, depending on what type of property taxes you're trying to accomplish. So that's number 4. Number 5, and final, is your taxation, right? Which you have to focus on, and you have to understand that there is going to be some measure of taxation. The question is, what kind of taxation? So these top 5 things will tell, well, at least for me, I can look at the numbers very plainly, and I can tell you whether your country or your civilization of any kind, your clan, your nation, whatever you want to call it, is doomed just by looking at those top 5 things. Just by looking at those top 5 things, I can know whether you have a chance to survive the next 100, 150, 200 years, or if you are going to go into complete upheaval, like we're seeing right now. So. And of course, because the currency is at the top of the list, you have to look out for the counterfeiters. The founders of our country understood that. That's why they said only gold and silver coin shall be currency. In other words, meaning that it had to be a physical item. It had to be no paper nonsense, no conjuring paper, no saying it's gold backed or silver backed, none of that nonsense. No, it had to be the actual coinage involved, because then it implied that there was no debt. Right? That's really important, because debt is one of these issues that just gets worse and worse and worse over time. And there is no way out at this point. So to your question of how much longer can this go? It'll go on as long as it has to, right? I mean, one of the rules in Fight Club, fights go on as long as they have to. Yeah, this is going to go on as long as it has to, until enough people start to realize they've been ripped off. And if they can get out of their, they have to pull their heads out of their own assholes and realize that someone like me, I don't care if you're on the left, I don't care if you're on the right. What I want to know is, do you understand money? Do you understand you're being ripped off? You can have whatever crazy politics you want. Okay, I don't care what kind of shit you're putting in your face, and how, if you look like a character in a Ray Bradbury novel with all the fucking ink. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is, do you understand this? Because a lot of people don't. They've never been taught money. And it's the single most important topic that you'll ever learn, because it covers basically everything. If you understand money, you'll understand thermodynamics very quickly. You'll understand physics itself very quickly. You'll understand all this stuff very quickly. As soon as you understand money itself, it's very easy to piece everything else together really quickly. So, yeah. So I hope that, in my own way, answers your question. But it goes on as long as it has to, until people figure it out.